Coming up, remembering the late Sam Claphan.
Sammy Jack.
He was actually the only offensive line starter from Oklahoma, from Stillwell, Oklahoma, one of the smallest classifications, but that was a tribute to him and his athletic ability and talent.
Plus, America Meredith, known for her own artwork, she found a higher calling to focus on others, creating a first-of-its-kind magazine.
Why are we creating art if no one understands it and there's no dialogue about it?
And Native games. From blow darts to tomahawk, the Sutteer family goes for the gold.
The Cherokees.
A thriving American Indian tribe.
Our history.
Our culture.
Our people.
Our future.
The principles of a historic nation.
Sewn into the fabric of a modern world.
Hundreds of thousands strong.
Learning. Growing.
Succeeding.
And steadfast.
In the past, we have persevered through struggle.
But the future is ours to write.
Osiyo.
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 These are the voices of the Cherokee people.
Osiyo. I'm Principal Chief Bill John Baker. Welcome to the Cherokee Nation and Osiyo TV. This is how we share our culture, our heritage, our history, and our language with you. Wado.
Osiyo, it's how we say hello in Cherokee. I'm your host, Jennifer Lauren, along Park Hill Creek in Park Hill, Oklahoma. This is one of many spring-fed creeks important to our culture here in the Cherokee Nation. As an artist and curator, America Meredith discovered a gap in critical perspectives of Native American art. So she created a magazine and is now filling that gap, bringing more Native perspectives to the greater art world.
When it comes to looking at good art, when I go to a show and I see good art, I get inspired. I want to go make art. Art is kind of a living seed of the culture. It's beautiful, it's about color. It's kind of a vessel and you can bring to it and connect to it as much as you want to dig in. In mainstream culture, there's this kind of assumption like, oh, well, no one knows about Native art, so we're just gonna break it down simply. And I really love challenging people's expectations. When people think they know what Native art looks like, I'm like, no, you don't. I'm America Meredith, and I belong to the Cherokee Nation, and I am the publishing editor of First American Art magazine, and I'm a visual artist, although that's kind of been put on the back burner, because right now, I mean, really, why are we creating art if no one understands it and there's no dialogue about it? Part of the idea of the magazine is, there's different enclaves in the Native art world. We need to make all these enclaves in connection, aware of each other. The two themes of what we cover is it has to be art and it has to be by Native peoples of Americas. So any geographical region, any media, any time frame, if you want to talk about lithics from 20,000 years ago, like where are your people? So we have the print magazine. We also have a digital magazine, and then the website's, a hub. So we want to discuss complex ideas, but we want to do so in a really, open and engaging way. I think in a perfect world, I could be a full-time artist, but I don't think I'm the best art writer. I don't think I'm the best editor, but it's just sometimes something needs to be done. And it's more important for me to facilitate this conversation than it is to me to make my own art. But I miss doing art. My style is like hyper eclectic, like uber eclectic. You can look at my art and there's a art history lesson in every one, because I'll use old Cherokee ceramic patterns, basketry patterns, just different aspects of our historical art, like rope it up and put it in the painting. So this just got shipped back from the Museum of Indian Arts and Culture in Santa Fe. It was in the show. But it's Will Rogers, the G-Stew. We all know G-Stew, there we are, G-Stew, it's the trickster. And I guess growing up when Will was a little boy, that was his Cherokee nickname. I think G-Stew, even though G-Stew gets in scrapes, he always has a good heart. There's always a lot to learn from him. I think art is definitely a way for me to explore and ask questions, and then to put it out in the world and have this greater dialogue. And I think something interesting in Native art is people are constantly recuperating lost arts because, I mean, we have to be honest, there's been major efforts by the strongest nations on the planet to wipe out our cultures. So this is this incredible time of people being able to just reclaim who they are and what their history is artistically. Santa Fe is pretty fantastic. There's so many directions you can look, and there's always art there. They have hundreds of galleries. Native art is front and center there. So this year they introduced the idea of Native Art Week because there's an incredible amount of art activities. And of course, Swaya's Santa Fe Indian Market, it's the largest art market. It's the oldest art market in the United States. It's one event you want to be at because there'll be curators, there'll be artists, pretty much everyone from everywhere. You'll see them. You'll just be walking down the street. Oh, no. Just as far as just celebrating what we're all doing and getting a quick assessment of what's happening right now in Indian country, this is a place to be. When all said and done, I think Native art has to save the world. That might sound kind of romantic, but I think the reality is that Native people have the knowledge of how to live on this planet. And the art's a way to envision it. If we can picture and project what we want to happen, that will inspire us to actually do it.
Sam Claphan was a football great who played for the Oklahoma Sooners during the Barry Switzer dynasty and ultimately in the NFL. But that's not what defined this so-called gentle giant from Stillwell, Oklahoma.
Sammy Jack was a class individual. He had a great moral and core value system. People say, well, football builds character, and I always said, bullshit. You know, mamas and daddies and coaches or someone along in their early childhood that helps them learn a core value system. And he was one that had a good value system that was given to him by his family. Football didn't have a damn thing to it.
Sam was considered the middle child. I'm the youngest, Larry's next to youngest, and we have our older sisters, Wanda and Brenda. We grew up out in Cherry Tree. It's a little community about 3 miles south of here. Sam was probably 5'6", and then he went to live with our cousins for the summer, went down and stayed with them down in Weatherford, Texas. And he come back and he was like 6'1", and then he just kept growing. I mean, I think he was probably 6'6".
Sam was the best football player that Stillwell High School has ever produced. He was a giant among men. At 6'7", weighed about 250 pounds. He dominated the field when he walked out there. His size alone got the attention of all of the college coaches in the United States.
I was head coach at Oklahoma, and Larry Lacewell was recruiting Eastern Oklahoma. And he told me, you know, there's a kid over at Stillwell, Oklahoma. He passes the eye test. He's a big, tall kid, 6'5", 6'6", and he's about 270. He's probably going to be a 300-pounder, and he can run. I went with Larry to see Sammy Jack. It was in February, so blustery, cold day, and we went to a little Stillwell cafe, and I moved all the chairs out of the way. Sammy Jack and his family came in, Mom and Dad and him, and met him for the first time. And I said, Sammy Jack, I'm going to put you through a few drills. It's too cold to go outside, and the wind was blowing, sleeting and all. And so I had him do a lot of dipsy doodle, back pedal, get in stance, do some things that probably are illegal by NCAA, but I was going to make a decision that day on whether I was going to offer him a scholarship. And I was impressed with his footwork and what he could do. He was actually the only offensive line starter from Stillwell, Oklahoma, one of the small slap classifications, but that was a tribute to him and his athletic ability and talent we recognized.
Football at Oklahoma is also something to remember. The stars who have been and those who will be.
OU had been a power for quite some time, thanks to Bud Wilkinson. They turned to Barry Switzer. He was part of an OU team that had just come off a, for them, modest winning record.
Sammy Jack was an outstanding player for us. He was an outstanding offensive line.
When Sammy and I came in, you know, it was a decade where we had a lot of success. I was a kicker, and he really didn't like kickers that much, but I guess he liked me, so we kind of got along right from the start.
Well, he's a great player. When you're an offensive lineman, you're kind of overlooked. No one pays any attention to the offensive linemen. All they do is go out and do their job and help produce 500 or 600 yards a game rushing. And
if he wasn't doing his job, you weren't hearing about Billy Sims or J.C. Watts either.
Sammy Jack, big Sammy Jack. I can recall when I first got to OU, he was offensive lineman, and that was the biggest Native American I had ever seen in my life. But Sammy Jack, I mean, what a great blocker, great player, and he was just totally about the team.
We had a great football team. We won 8 consecutive championships and Big 8 conference.
He was drafted by the Cleveland Browns, and the San Diego Chargers were very interested in him, and he played as a starter until '87.
They get to play on Monday nights, and that would always give you a chill, because it was like, you'd hear that Monday night music, and it's like, wow, that's my brother playing on, you know. You play high school, and then you wanted to play college, and to move up into the NFL was just, that was just everybody's dream.
He was certainly proud to have been a professional football player, but I don't think he really ever realized how big a role he had on the Cherokee community, the Stillwell community, and the kids.
Sam did come back to his alma mater as a coach and as a special ed teacher. We were very proud of Sam and his work with special ed students.
When we originally thought about building a camp, I brought up that a really good friend of mine, Sam Claphan, is a special ed teacher. It'd be great to honor him and name one of the cabins after him, the Sammy Jack cabin. And so the leadership, they met about it, and they decided just to call the whole camp Claphans.
Camp Claphans is just like any other summer camp, except we do things a little bit differently because we are a summer camp for kids with developmental disabilities.
Oh, he'd be honored. He'd be honored. He'd probably maybe be a little bit embarrassed too.
2001, he passed away with apparently a heart attack. Just hard to imagine losing a brother, a sibling.
To lose him was a huge, huge travesty. Sad, sad day.
He was just a gentle soul. To this day, I miss him.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
There we go.
That's a good.
He's playing right tackle right there. It was real amazing that, you know, looking back on his career, you know, he played these kind of the hallowed grounds of football in America.
He accomplished a lot within his life, you know, and like we said, a lot of people don't get to do that.
He lived a life that probably every American boy would want to live.
Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain.
Len Riggs was an author, poet, screenwriter, and playwright, perhaps best known for creating Green Grow the Lilacs, upon which the film Oklahoma was based.
So how to move beyond thinking of Len Riggs just as the guy who wrote the thing Oklahoma was based on? I think first off, we have to start reading his plays more. We have to understand him as this incredibly prolific, highly respected, innovative thinker, dramatist, who had a roughly 30-year career and worked with some of the most central figures, not just in American drama, but also in Hollywood and also modernist aesthetics and modernist thought.
Len Riggs went to school here in Claremore. He was just another Cherokee kid. He grew up really loving the theater, music, and then it grew into poetry. He went to school at OU and really took on a lot of that playwriting then and there.
No doubt, growing up as a gay man who is attuned to things like poetry and the theater was hard to live through. And that's one of the reasons why when Riggs left Oklahoma, he only came back sporadically. He lived the rest of his life in Hollywood and New York and Mexico and Santa Fe.
He worked extensively in Hollywood and had a lot of Hollywood friends.
I mean, this guy ran with Betty Davis, Clark Gable, Joan Crawford. For Riggs, Hollywood was always this place where he made money so that then he could fund his theatrical pursuits. Because he hated the spectacle of Broadway, he really loathed the spectacle and superficiality of Hollywood, even though he had a good time when he was in Hollywood. As an artist, as an intellectual, as a screenwriter, he never felt that he was given the opportunity to write the kind of films that he was producing on stage. Closest thing we get is Oklahoma.
He traveled extensively, and he spent some time in Paris writing Green Grow the Lilacs.
The thing that makes Riggs unique is that he's writing from and about a place that nobody else knew about and that nobody else was writing about. Being a child of this mixed-race family, it really allows you to kind of dig into some of the historical and cultural complexities of Cherokee history.
And he used stories from home or memories from home to recreate those. People he knew growing up really inspired him for his characters.
Why don't you grab her and kiss her when she acts that way, Curly? She's just aching for you two, I bet.
I won't even speak to him, let alone allow him to kiss me. The bragging, bow-legged, wished it had a sweetheart bum.
She likes you. Quite a lot.
A lot of people also don't know that he wrote a play called The Cherokee Night, which is based here in Claremore.
Riggs long considered The Cherokee Night his most important and significant contribution to American theater, both from a personal level, because it's maybe one of the most personal plays that he wrote in terms of some of the central conflicts and tensions that it brings up, but also in terms of bringing that alternative picture of Cherokee nationhood, Oklahoma statehood, and focusing on the impacts of that on Cherokee families. He really challenges audiences to come to terms with their own assumptions about what they project onto the racial dynamics of this period, and then also challenges us to think about what it is, for instance, to be Indian or to be Cherokee in that moment. And plus, he's giving us images of Cherokee people that are not feathers and leathers, right? That are not these romanticized Hollywood images of the Plains warrior, or the vanishing Indian. Like, these are Indians that are in the present. And so I think just bringing that to a Broadway audience and forcing them to contend with this different picture of Oklahoma, this different picture of Indian life, this different picture of Cherokee life, is what really situates him as a really unique figure in this moment. He wasn't this brooding, tortured soul that was sitting around his study thinking about what a traumatic life he led.
He was the type of guy who would bring his guitar to the party and play for everyone. He definitely used his social life in his playwriting.
One of his legacies from a Cherokee perspective is that we have a dramatic tradition. We have a national literary tradition of which he's a part, but we also have a tradition of drama, stage drama. Here in the Cherokee Nation, we have contemporary dramatists like Mary Catherine Nagel and Delana Studi and others who are bringing these histories to the stage. Len Riggs is really one of those forebears that did that 60, 70 years prior and was dealing with all of the same issues regarding family, community, All of these things that we see in contemporary Native drama and with contemporary Cherokee playwrights, Len Riggs was wrestling with those back in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s.
Let's talk Cherokee.
The Cherokee Syllabary is the writing system invented by Sequoyah. Each character represents a syllable in the Cherokee language. In this syllabary chart, the top row contains the 6 vowel sounds. The subsequent rows include the consonant sounds.
Ja,
Ja,
Cherokee, Jalagi,
Jalagi,
Je,
Je,
Luke, Ajelugisti,
Ajelugisti,
G,
G,
Mouse, G Stage,
G Stagi,
Joe,
Jo,
Rattlesnake, Ujonati,
Ujonati,
Jew,
Jew,
Kettle, Julaski,
Julaski,
Ja,
Ja,
yourself, Jasa.
Jasa,
Go to the store by yourself. Jasa, Weda, Dida, Na, Na, I.
Jasa, Weda, Dida, Na, Na, I.
On any given summer weekend, you can find the Sutteer family shooting blow darts or playing chunky at a native games competition somewhere in Oklahoma. As James Sutteer tells us, it's a way for his family to connect with each other and with their heritage.
Everybody wants to be good at something without practicing. You know, they just want to be able to step out there and say, okay, let's go. Why am I not as good as the guys that have been shooting for 40 years? And the answer is patience. My name is James Sutteer, and I'm a science teacher at Riverside Indian School in Anadarko, Oklahoma. I'm the science chair, but I also teach biology and chemistry. Johnson O'Malley program is a federal program that helps support the education of Indian children. And right now, I help them with the summer camp, so I wear several hats. And then, of course, the most important job that I have is dad. My oldest, I have a daughter that's 14 years old. Her name is Isabel Sutteer. Never gets in trouble. Straight A student. My son, Ferris, is 9. He has a lot bigger personality than his sister. We try to fish a little bit whenever we can, and you know, some days are good and some days aren't. But it's always good to get out and to be together. In the summertime, we like going out and doing these competitions. The big reason why I participate in the games is for my kids. Is because I want them to be able to make a connection with their culture. These games are tied to actual functions in a village. Cornstalk is a war game. Tomahawk throw is the same thing. You have to be able to hit something, you know, that may be beyond your reach. The blowgun was used for small game, squirrel and rabbit. I mean, survival. Chunky is a spear game. It is the oldest game that we play. It's fun. It's competitive. But I'm hoping that it sparks the curiosity of my kids to be able to delve a little deeper. Isabel has expressed interest in learning the language. You know, hopefully Ferris will follow along and try to do some of the same things. I just want them to be curious and to be able to ask questions and to be able to know where they're from. We've been going to the games probably the last 4 years, pretty solid. First it was by myself, and then brought the kids with me, and it's an opportunity for us to do some things together. Now, of course, they were better at it than me. You know, that's usually the way it works. Isabel was involved with archery in schools, and she was actually a state champion as a sixth grader. So she did very well in the archery part of it. Isabel's been able to win the Cherokee National Holiday Tournament a couple times, and Ferris has won it a couple times in archery and blowgun, and Isabel wanted a blowgun whenever she was a child, and now she's old enough where she has to compete with the women, but she's still good from the basics that we were able to teach her. Ferris is, the last couple of years, he's kind of come into his own. He was runner-up at Cherokee Holiday last year and everything. So he was second in cornstalk, he was second in blowgun, he was second in chunky.
46. Yes. Ferris.
Blowgun-wise, he hadn't been beat in a while. During the community game season, we usually practice maybe about once a week. And it's right here in our front yard in Chickasha. So we live here in the middle of town and don't have a whole lot of space, but we make it work. Hey, don't blow out the side of your mouth. Turn your neck. Right in the middle. There you go. Oh, look at that. You beat your old man. That's not funny.
It kind of is.
As a single dad of Isabel and Ferris, I'm hoping that one of the lessons that they learn coming out of doing these games is to deal with some adversity. Things change, and you have to go on. You can't dwell on the past. You don't hit a bullseye every time. You have to be able to reset yourself and take your next shot. Right there. Hey, that's getting a lot easier, okay? Now you need to step back a little bit more because it's still hit right on the bottom of the handle.
Okay.
It was almost rotated back. So if you take another half step back, you ought to be right on it. For the Native Games this year, all three of us are qualified already for finals in August. And hopefully we'll be able to make that a fun experience instead of a lesson learned.
Well, Isabel and Ferris, congratulations on your game.
We just got second in the final round of marbles.
Second place is Isabel. Ferris, first with 41. All right.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've gotten pretty lucky. Because I work with kids all the time and I've taught for 26 years. So I've seen all kinds of kids. And like I said, I've got good kids, because they're able to observe and they're smart kids and they're able to adapt. There's been people come in and out of their life and they're able to carry on and again, continue to have success in whatever they set their mind to. And my hope by doing this is not only for them to learn some more about their culture, but for whenever they have children, to bring them back. I think that'd be one of the best days of my life if myself, my daughter, and my son, and my grandkids could all shoot in the same contest. That would be amazing. Just to know that I've done something that's going to stick with them.
We hope you enjoyed our show, and remember you can watch us anytime online at osiyo.tv. There is no Cherokee word for goodbye because we know we'll see you again. We say, do da dago ha'i. Wado.